My name's Tony Landry, council member with the Veterans Action Council. I come before the committee as a Louisiana veteran and an advocate of using plant medicine like cannabis, ayahuasca, ibogaine, psilocybin to treat addiction, depression, and anxiety. I served 6 years in the U.S. Navy, received an honorable discharge with service-connected injuries to my back due to heavy lifting, which was required in my duties. The injuries led to 2 back surgeries, left me with a dark, deep depression, chronic pain, and inability to work. The VA provided income to raise my family and prescribed a copious amount of pharmaceuticals to treat the symptoms of my injuries. The intense pain and pharmaceuticals caused many harsh side effects like suicidal thoughts, addiction, sexual problems, gastrointestinal dysfunction, confusion, isolation from family and community events. Given my family history of addiction, depression, and suicide, I've had two first cousins in their teens that committed suicides and 2 uncles that attempted suicide. It was easy to see how I slipped into opiate use disorder and alcohol misuse to soothe my physical and mental pain. In 2018, after advocating for the addition of chronic pain and PTSD as qualifying conditions to access Louisiana's medical cannabis, my wife and I moved to Tucson so she could attend college and I could have safe access to medical cannabis. The cannabis helped reduce my drinking, but still experienced bouts of binge drinking during difficult emotional and physical pain. Due to my interest in advocacy, I attended the 2019 Psychedelic Conference and learned about the success many veterans and others were having with the use of psychedelic plants for treating addiction, depression, and anxiety. In June of 2019, I attended my first ayahuasca ceremony in Tucson, which had a profound effect on ending my cravings for alcohol. My sobriety from alcohol lasted almost 4 years, but after a divorce, returning back to Louisiana, I relapsed into my old patterns of using alcohol to numb the pain. This behavior was going to lead to my early death, or even worse, to possibly harming someone else. So I planned a trip back to Tucson this month, a couple weeks ago, and for an ayahuasca ceremony, and once again received the therapy and able to refrain from alcohol use. The healing power of ayahuasca ceremony is the reason I came here today to testify. Louisiana has harsh laws against the use of psychedelics to treat addiction, depression, and anxiety. Citizens are able to grow and harvest psychedelic plants and fungi for aesthetic and landscaping purposes, but if we're caught making a tea or capsules for mental health treatment, we face harsh fines and jail time. These plants have great medicinal value, and it's inhumane to impose fines and punishment infringing on our rights to health. Psychedelic plants were used by our ancestors to treat community members and warriors. All it took was one disgraceful, impeached president, Richard Nixon, to start this war against these healing plants. According to the National Library of Medicine, there are currently over 360 clinical trials using psychedelics to treat mental health problems. Many studies are focused on veterans and first responders because we suffer a higher rate of addiction, suicide, and overdose than the general population. The clinical trials are exploring ways to use psychedelic plants to treat addiction, depression, end-of-life anxiety, suicidal ideation, meth use disorder, alcohol use disorder, binge eating disorder, PTSD, phantom limb pain, cluster headaches, cancer, anxiety, opioid dependence, and other things. U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs Services Research and Development put out a brief. The psychedelic medications for mental health and substance use disorder report states psilocybin-assisted psychotherapy may reduce PTSD symptoms of severity. Ayahuasca use for depression may also be associated with a reduction in short-term symptoms of suicidality. No serious adverse events were reported for MDMA, psilocybin, or ayahuasca. And I want to point out the national average of suicide of the general population is 14 per 100,000. For veterans nationwide, it's 27.7 vets commit suicide per 100,000, but in Louisiana, the number's higher. It's 32.5 per 100,000 commit suicide. In the past 2 decades, Louisiana citizens have faced extreme economic downturns, catastrophic weather events, COVID shutdowns, and isolation from friends and families. It's evident from our increased overdose, suicide, and alcohol-related fatalities that these events have caused unprecedented negative impact on our mental health. The current Western model of pharmaceuticals and therapy is failing us, and psychedelic therapy and natural plant medicine offers a new hope. Plants like cannabis, ayahuasca, ibogaine, and psilocybin should be a frontline defense for treating the mental health crisis we face. I ask the members of the subcommittee to please provide the leadership it will take to develop a natural medicine control board which mandates creating psychedelic therapy research, education, and training programs necessary to mitigate the damaging effects of Louisiana's mental health crisis. Thank you.